Hello, guys, and welcome back to Sarcastic Remarks alongside the patriarch himself. And James, my name is Ryan. This is episode 4126. Cannot believe we've done 126 episodes in one season. But, guys, the Stanley Cup Final is over. We've got a lot of things to talk about, and the official off-season, the official off-season begins. So before we get started, we got a couple of things that I'd like to just throw out as announcements. First off, thanks to DraftKings Sportsbook. They've always been a sponsor of us for the past 3 years. Thank you to them for being our sponsor of this episode of our pod and all of THPN. We have got a lot of things to talk about stars-wise, but two things I want to mention before we get into today's episode, guys. Casey and Colby did it, you guys. Casey, James and I sisters, our dad's daughter, obviously, and Colby, they tied the knot officially on Friday. And they're having fun on their honeymoon, and we're very happy for them that they've started their life together, and we hope many, many years for them going forward with their marriage. And then second thing, this is more of a stars-related thing. We are very excited to announce, if you haven't seen our social media accounts, the one and only Logan Stankoven, probably the second best player, not in the NHL right now in the world, especially on the younger side, is going to be joining the podcast after he comes back from his, oh my gosh, think Ryan, vacation. And at first I thought, maybe we could get him beforehand. And I was just like, no, he deserves it. After everything he's been through and what he's done for Kamloops and the Blazers, he needs to enjoy his off season. So we're really excited for that. It's probably going to be coming in late June, early July on that. And on top of that, there's going to be a lot more other announcements that we have coming forward, and I hope you are looking forward to those. So anyways, to get into actual Dallas Stars stuff and hockey stuff, we're going to talk a little bit about the Stanley Cup Final between the Florida Panthers.
Miami had a rough week, man. They've gotten both finals, and both finals were over in 5.
Yeah. And then we've got we're also going to discuss, because we have to make it about the Stars and why that's such a big deal that Vegas won and kind of the fallout between that. And then we're going to talk about, I went on Twitter and I asked on the podcast feed, I was like, Stars fans, what is the thing that we need to fix? Like what needs to be fixed? And the number one thing that I constantly saw from like 70 to 80% of the tweets, and there was almost 100 comments, you gotta fix the defense. And that will lead us into our big question for the night is buying out Suter really going to be the answer for the Dallas Stars? Is this really the answer? Shut up, James. Don't give it away yet. We have way more minutes to go through before we talk about that. Okay. So anyways, at the time of this recording, it is literally 24 hours after the Vegas Golden Knights have won the Stanley Cup. Bill Foley, the owner of the Golden Knights, fulfills this prophecy in winning the cup in 6 years. What did you guys see out of this series, out of Game 5? Let's talk about some of our thoughts from this series, because I mean, there's so many different storylines you could go with.
What I thought was going to happen, and what kind of ended up happening, is that the Panthers kind of ran out of gas. They had their 2 or 3 players that were playing out of their mind stop playing out of their mind, and suddenly their team could be anyone. Shock.
I think that just is a testament to the depth that Vegas had and the lack of depth that Florida had.
But it's also a crazy testament to how good the players on the Panthers were playing. They dragged their team all the way to the finals.
Kachuk, Montour, Bennett, Reinhardt.
All the way 3-1 in the first round.
Yeah. Almost out of the season, right? I mean, they've been playing in desperation mode
into the playoffs
for months, right?
The Penguins should have been in the playoffs,
and they lost to the Blackhawks at the end of the regular season, so that didn't happen.
They lucked into the playoffs, and then their 2 best players dragged them all the way to the finals.
And what killed them was the pause. So Dallas helped kill them. We stayed alive for 2 more games. We stayed alive for 2 more games. And that is such a delay, such a long delay when you're used to playing back to back to back and in desperation mode. And the second you let go of that focus and you don't have that same pressure on you, I think that's what happened to him.
The big thing to me is just how they lost. 3 of the games were blowouts. I mean, they were 5-2, 7-2, 9-3. That was game 1, game 2, and game 5. The series wasn't close. The one game they won because their 2 best players played like their 2 best players.
Don't go down that road yet, because that's kind of getting into some of the stars stuff. But I really want to talk about some of the specific players here first off. But I'm just going to drop into this because my heart broke when I saw Paul Maurice and the head coach of the Florida Panthers give an interview after they lost. And he looked like he was on the verge of tears. Like, he legit, 50, 60-year-old guy. He's been around the block a couple of times. And I mean, I know I'm not supposed to feel bad for them, but my heart sank when he gave one of the best answers I've ever seen to
you had question. Cinderella. You had Cinderella, and the clock struck 12.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
it's back into
and you can't find her. Not this year.
No, not this year. But let me ask you guys this about the Florida Panthers. Do you really think that this was a Cinderella run like you're talking about, Dad? Or do you think that they're not as far off as some other people think?
Well, obviously they got some good players who could pick the team up and beat some good teams. So I guess the East wasn't as good as everybody thought, though.
Yeah, right.
Right, exactly. And that was
the East better. Thing. The East is better. Yet another Cup champion from the West. Yes. I don't know what y'all want. I really don't. Yeah. I don't understand.
So let's talk about some of the players on the Florida Panthers first, and then we'll take a look at the Golden Knights for a while. Obviously, you got to point out Matthew Tkachuk. I mean, as ridiculous as he played, like in the finals, getting in trouble and taking all the penalties that he did, that's his game. And maybe he stepped over the line a little bit too much. But what I really felt bad about with him was, I don't know if you guys heard some of the stories coming out, but so he plays in game 3. He gets hit hard, and he obviously gets injured. He plays in game 4 and barely plays in the third period and gets the game-tying goal, being hurt. And we didn't know what it was at that point. And then he's not even able to play in game 5. And then everybody on Twitter before game 5 started was like, oh, well, Matthew Tkachuk doesn't want to see his team lose. He's such a pansy, blah, 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 blah. And then it comes out after the series what he was dealing with. I don't ever want to hear again that hockey players are not warriors. They are absolute freaking Spartans. I mean, he was dealing with a broken sternum. That's ridiculous. That's the bone right here above your rib cage. And
you can't move your arms without moving it.
You can't. He couldn't take a slap shot. You can't raise your arms above your head when you do that. And then on top of that, some of the things that they talked about was that his brother Brady, who plays for the Ottawa Senators, really good player as well, he had to get him out of bed after game 4. Like, he physically could not get out of bed, and he played in game 4, got the game. I don't want to hear it again. I mean, I have so much respect for Paul Maurice because of the answer that he gave in the press conference. And then just the sheer, for lack of a better term, manliness that we saw from Matthew Tkachuk. He absolutely did everything he possibly could and more. So is he worth that $9 million? He absolutely is.
Yeah, that's anyone who doesn't think that they're not very smart. I'll say it that way.
Mm-hmm. And
it was pretty amazing. And then just the way he finished off some of the other games earlier in the series too is just pretty crazy.
He was easily the Conn Smythe favorite for the Florida Panthers. You might have could have said Bobrovsky, but Bobrovsky didn't play every single game in the playoffs. He didn't start He
started once they started winning.
Yes, that is true.
He played from when they won on. So
that is true, but still. But anyways, Another player I want to talk about is Aaron Ekblad, and get this. This is his injury list. He has a list. You know how they release a list for all the players that were injured. He has a separate list for himself.
Yikes.
He broke his foot in round 1 against the Boston Bruins. That was 2 months ago. He played with a broken foot for 2 months. That's ridiculous. On 2 separate occasions, he separated his shoulder. 2 separate occasions, he separated his shoulder. And then he came back from a concussion test. So and again, it's a guy who is very injury prone. He gets injured quite a bit. But the fact that he played through that, and then he was one of the few Panthers that got a goal in Game 5. He was the one that at least gave them a little bit of hope when it was 2-1 in that game. So again, it's just another example of just sheer magnitude manliness from hockey players. And I love seeing that storyline. I know that they're obviously hurting right now, and it sucks to feel the emotions that they're feeling, but you've got to give them credit for where credit's due. Both of those guys are absolute warriors. And I think another guy we need to talk about to kind of round it out a little bit on the Panthers side is the play of Sergei Bobrovsky. His contract is still seen as too high, makes $10 million, but the way that he played in the playoffs, even when it was down the stretch, when it was 6-1 going into the second intermission and going into the third period in Game 5, he still stayed in it. He I'm pretty sure Paul Maurice could have taken him out, and he said, no, I'm in it till the end, and he stuck with it. So again, mad props to Bobrovsky. What did y'all see out of Bobrovsky's play during the finals?
Finals were a little rough, but I mean, like I said in Game 3, though, him and Tkachuk stole Game 3. They really did. I mean, that game probably shouldn't have been close either. It should have been another blowout, but it really, where you see more from him was in his past series. In the first round, all the way through until the Cup Finals, he was playing like no one was scoring against him. I mean, it was like 2 goals a game. He had that average for like through 9 games, the second and third round. Like that's a little ridiculous. So he's definitely a big reason why the team made it that far. I think he really, it's so tough because last season it was very obvious he was having a Vezina level season, and that he was not. This is a career year for him. Coming back off of a career year, it's really hard to look as good as he did the year before. So I think he probably has a bounce back. It's probably fine. I don't have a problem with his contract, really. It is a lot for a goaltender, but from what we just saw in the finals, where he can turn it on, I don't know. It might be worth it.
And if he can step it up in the playoffs like he did on a regular basis, I mean, a really good goaltender can get you a long way. And we saw that with the other side. So let's just jump into the other side with Vegas with one of the stories of the playoffs in Adin Hill. Everyone is going to continue to talk about that stick save in Game 1. I'm telling you. Yeah.
4th round pick.
Yeah. And
they traded him for a 4th round pick.
Yep. But I mean, San Jose had 3 NHL level goalies, and Vegas needed some depth, and they got him. And I don't know if he's going to play like that again. I wouldn't expect him to.
He was their 4th stringer.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So I think because of his play, he's going to get re-signed in Vegas. But I think we're going to see moves like Robin Lehner. I think Robin Lehner is going to be gone.
Nah.
So
I think Adin Hill's going to be the backup to Robin Lehner.
Nah. We'll see. Yeah. We'll see how that goes. But
that's my guess.
I mean, I knew about Adin Hill because of his play in Arizona, but I mean, it's got to be an amazing run by Adin Hill there.
Yeah.
Is it time for me to gloat yet?
Go for it.
Sure, go for it.
See, I told you that Vegas was going to win, and I really do think it was a bubble. I think James was right that his bubble got popped kind of at the end of the finals round, and then I think the delay just took away a lot of the stuff. But the reason I'm glad that Vegas won is because it sets up so nicely for us next year. If we look at those two series, and you can always play what ifs, but it's fun to play what ifs when we're talking about this level of stuff, right? Because what if our finals, Western Conference Finals, had been called and officiated the same way that the finals were?
Don't
The
get
first
us. You just
3
opened
games.
a can of
The
worms
first
right
3
there.
games, there were
What?
29
Here we go, James.
power
Here we go,
plays.
James.
29 power plays in the first 3 games of the finals. That was more than our entire series against Vegas. It went in 6 games, and they beat it.
And if you
in
just
3,
go by
half the amount of games.
percentages on the power play and penalty kills, then what's the likelihood of us actually winning that series?
What's
We
crazier
wouldn't have been
is
down.
Here's my
We
thing.
wouldn't have been
Here's my
down
thing.
3-0. Tell you that much.
I don't know about that.
I'm doing this more from a motivation perspective, right? This is a what if
Okay,
exercise
okay,
just for
that's fair.
motivation for the Stars for next year, right? You sit back and look at this and go, we were that close. And if we hadn't made 2 major mistakes with Suter and Ben in those 2 games, and we gotten one more goal
or one more
in
save
overtime, right? We really were that close. Now if we'd have finished up and there hadn't been a delay before the finals like there was before Florida, would Florida have stayed on a roll? Maybe, right? But we were that close. So I think that's a great motivator, and that's part of why I wanted Vegas to win. I did not think they would win that convincingly, honestly. That was pretty crazy. But with them winning that convincingly and then coming back and looking at how close we were, you're like, are you guys motivated to play next year? Yeah, you better believe it. I think that kicks us into gear for next year.
All right, so we're gonna jump around a little bit. We'll come back to more players for Vegas later, but because we were already kind of into the star stuff. But to be the devil's advocate for the whole, if they had just called the power plays like they did in the Stanley Cup Final, Vegas had just dealt with that with Edmonton, and they still beat Edmonton. And I mean, that was like a historic,
yes, yes, you
playoff
are right.
power play performance from the Edmonton Oilers. But
Edmonton couldn't score 5-on-5. And we could, and we proved in the series
couldn't.
against Vegas. We scored 5-on-5 against Vegas. We did.
Okay,
there
against
were no
Vegas,
power plays.
but against Vegas, but we couldn't do it against Minnesota. Remember
That's
that?
the only team we couldn't. That was round 1, Ryan. We got over that in round 2. We had to. We played a 7-game series. There were 31 power plays.
I know. Like I said, I'm just being devil's advocate here. But and then to further your point, Dad, on what could have been, and
okay. This is one thing that I don't want to think about. So, out of our last 4 playoff appearances,
this is where I was going to, James.
2019 lost to the St. Louis Blues, who won the cup, and then we made it to 2020. We made it all the way to the finals and lost to the Lightning. And then this year we lose to the Golden Knights in the conference finals,
and they win the Stanley Cup.
That's 3 out of the last 5 years where we've been that close.
This one felt more real.
It felt to me like an opportunity lost.
Yeah, for sure. But the state of the team and the attitude of the team,
the future is a lot better.
Yeah,
that's true.
It felt
very different than 2020.
It looks like add Stankoven and maybe a
Lundqvist back in there, that's what I'm saying. I mean, Lundqvist didn't have a bad year. He had a normal rookie defenseman year. That's what he had. I mean, he's only going to get better.
Yep. And we'll talk about him more a little bit later, but when I was talking about an opportunity lost, and I discussed this on Twitter with several other guys who are really big hockey fans and Stars fans. It's just, you always ask those what if questions, right, Dad? Just like you were saying. And I mean, the one that has haunted me for years is 2019 Game 7 against the St. Louis Blues. If Jamie Benn had, I mean, how close was that puck to being fully over the line? That wraparound Jamie Benn had. It was so close. And I mean, maybe in a different universe that goes over the line. In 2020, if we hadn't had so many injuries like Florida did this year, would we have been able to keep going? Because I think Dobby was fine. He wasn't playing as stellar as he was through the first 3 rounds, but he was still playing good enough for us to win the cup. And then this year, all of these lost opportunity. I think we beat ourselves more than Vegas beat us, guys. And the other thing that, and y'all can comment on this, and this was where I was going with all of this. I thought the Stars gave the Vegas Golden Knights the most problems, other than maybe the Oilers even. And we did not play our best at all. And the series was close.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't play for the first 3 games.
Yeah. So the game 3 was a complete anomaly that was weird. That will never happen in a million years again, as bad as it was. Game 1, we did not deserve to win that game. We played bad, but we still were able to get there. That's what good teams do. You find a way to win even when you're sucking it up. And they gave themselves an opportunity to win. They didn't take advantage of it. And that could have been a huge turning point in game 1. Game 2, Vegas proves why they deserve to win the Stanley Cup. They were not the better team in the game 2. We were the better team in game 2. And we lost the game in overtime very early on. That series easily could have been 2-1 Stars or even 2-1 Vegas. It wouldn't have been 3-0. That's my own personal opinion. So, and then in game 4 is blanking for me, but in a lot of the other games, it's not like the Stars were out of it. We had the game 6 where I think we were just out of gas. That's personally what I think. We were just out of gas. We didn't have enough energy to get through it. And now, especially those young guys, the Rope Hintzes, the Robertsons, the Miro Haskinens, the Johnstons, the guys that are part of the new core, that experience that they learned, they got to understand, okay, we got to pace ourselves for these next series and make sure we have enough energy especially enough stamina to get through them. Yeah. Especially
Rope. He was lights out in the first round, completely blew everything out of the water. But I mean, he had nothing left really by the time we made it to Vegas.
So let me get y'all's comments on that analysis and whether you think that is a fair analysis of what I said. Did the Stars really give them the hardest time? Were we really that close, or did we beat ourselves, or did Vegas actually beat us? I mean, anything that I said, what do y'all, give me your thoughts?
I think
combo.
I think we probably gave them the hardest time. The argument that you have, though, is that they played the Edmonton Oilers, and they're the Edmonton Oilers, but
who don't have a good goalie. I'm sorry, Skinner is
they don't have
a good goalie, but he is not a number 1 goalie. Ottinger has that opportunity to be an elite goaltender.
And Aiden Hill is a 4th string.
That's it. Yeah. And then
well, I mean, like the thing that also blows up your argument is kind of how the Golden Knights won some of those games against Edmonton. I mean, the league missed some pretty obvious calls in some of those games that were like game winning or game losing calls. I mean, the most obvious one is the high sticking the puck. By the rule, that shouldn't have been a golden placer stop. But I mean, the Golden Knights caught their lucky breaks in the second round, and that's all they needed. They needed to get by the Edmonton Oilers, and once they were by the Edmonton Oilers, I mean, they had it the rest of the way.
And
yeah, I thought we definitely gave them too much. You can't. I mean, at that high level. Series. Yeah, at that high level, you cannot make the mistakes that we made. We played close games in game 1 and 2. We didn't get out of it. We still lost, and then in game, well, I guess game 2 was the Suter play, right?
The Suter, the one of the few Suter mistakes in the playoffs.
We were close in game 1, and so it just I agree with you that we gave them more than them winning it, but Aiden Hill played top notch, and they did bring it to us when it counted. So they were able to ramp it up when they had to. So I'm not gonna say that we just gave it. Well, we should have won that. We just gave it to them. No, not that way. But definitely the opportunity. Brooke said earlier, with all the other teams out, with the top teams out in the East, that was definitely a lost opportunity. It was tough.
And that was the thing that I was looking at, and I forgot exactly what I said, but it was on Twitter. I posted, I was just like, look, that was an opportunity lost. And I just need to find exactly what I said. James, say something.
Yeah, it's tough. You're not really going to get a team like that from the East have another Cinderella run. And I mean, honestly, we're making fun of the East, like, oh, the East is so bad because they lost to the Panthers. There were some really scary teams over there, and the Panthers just found a way to knock 3 outright in a row. I mean, that it was the Boston Bruins, who had the best regular season of all time, and they had a series lead of 3-1. They should have won that series even just by luck. They could have lucked into one game and they win the series. And then they go and play the Maple Leafs, who finally make it out of the first round. Everyone, I thought that I said this before. I was like, if the Maple Leafs make it out of the first round, they're going to make it to the Cup Final. And they flopped harder than anyone could have imagined. But I mean, who's surprised, really? And then
we shouldn't have been surprised.
And then you make it to the Carolina Hurricanes, who have been all the way to the conference final multiple times in a row and have been swept now 3 straight times.
That's crazy.
There's just curses over there in the East. I swear, that's all it was. It's the President's Trophy curse, the Maple Leafs curse because they get their own, and then Carolina's conference final curse.
Oh, and this is why I love NHL hockey so much. The playoff hockey is nothing like anything ever in the world. And the fact that a team that was 17th overall, I mean, the Flames, and we're talking about the Flames and how terrible, and they've shut everything down. They got a new general manager. They're talking about switching their players out. There's a bunch of players that apparently want to be out and don't want to be in Calgary anymore. They were 16th. They were 16th. Yeah. And the team that finished 17th made it all the way to the Stanley Cup Final. And we're talking about, and we were talking months ago about how like Calgary was the actual winner in that Matthew Tkachuk trade. That ain't the case now. I mean, that's why I love hockey so much. It's just it's so unpredictable. It's so unpredictable. It's just so much fun.
Goaltenders are golden, man.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. All right, so here's the tweet that I composed. It's got like 5,000 views or 4,000 views, on Twitter. Got to be honest, this one does sting a bit since Dallas arguably appears to be the team that got the closest to beating the Knights. # Stanley Cup. And there goes my camera, I guess.
Ryan's video cuts out.
Well, anyways, that was weird. I got to fix that. Hold on. Sorry. But anyways, what I was saying was I totally lost my train of thought there.
We were the closest team to beating the Golden Knights.
Okay. So, and I want to get to another player that, and I'll come out of the closet and say this. I was rooting for Vegas. I was, and a lot of I know a Stars group chat gave me a whole bunch of crap.
I don't remember you saying that before Vegas won.
I was, and it was because of one player, and that one player was Jack Eichel, and he had to deal with so much crap in Buffalo.
I made fun of him and called him a loser during our series, and that was just a smack talk. So he played incredible, and
he was incredible. But here's the thing where it's kind of like slightly different from McDavid level, right? Because that's what we talk about. We talk about Eichel McDavid, right? But I mean, it was 1-2, but
Right.
but I mean, the big difference between Eichel and McDavid is Eichel has all these players he can just set up. 20 assists, 6 goals. McDavid is the player to get set up on his team. It's him and Draisaitl, and that's it. And he has to try to make perfect setups for everyone else, for anyone else to get a goal. That's the difference. You have a team who, if they get a decent pass, they can score, or you have a team where they have to have a perfect pass to score.
I heard I wasn't an Eichel fan really, but then I kind of heard some of the interview that DeBoer had from talking about different players and kind of what he's gone through. So I kind of swung around a little bit on that one, but you know, all the stuff before and how he got to Vegas and all that was not. I don't know. It was kind of weird.
It wasn't a good situation. He
I
never
did think
made
it
the
was strange.
playoffs. He never made the playoffs with Buffalo. Never. And he had to deal with all the
Duh,
crap and
Buffalo.
everyone saying, "Oh, well, he's not a playoff performer." Well, duh. He never got the chance to show himself in the first. Now, again, to your credit, James, like you said, he's got a lot of players to pitch the puck to. But the first time he goes to the playoffs, he wins the Stanley Cup.
Point scorer. Yeah.
And arguably probably could have won the Conn Smythe. He was up there. He was my number 2. So I know I'm going to get a lot of crap, especially Ardell. Where is Chris? He would not stand for this, Ryan. It's like Ardell twice. He said, "Screw Vegas." And it's like, okay, but it's not so much Vegas that I was rooting for. It was the player because of how much.
Well, that's even worse, Ryan. Okay, now I agree with Ardell. I didn't take that.
But
no.
Long story short,
and you didn't say Vegas. That was me. I said Vegas. You were all over there on the
Okay.
Panther little pussycat little thing.
Pussycat, yes, exactly.
Throw the rats on ice.
Well, anyways, I root for the player, not necessarily for the team. Is that fair? Because I don't like Pietrangelo.
But it's still Eichel. I mean,
yeah, I guess that's true. But I still like Eichel. I liked him in the playoffs. I was glad to see him get retribution, and I still thought it was hilarious that all over Twitter everyone was saying, "Hey, look, Eichel got a cup before McDavid did."
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I was like, Eichel's better than McDavid now.
Oh man, yeah.
Brooks' comment about spreading the stuff made me remember the ratings for the first game of the finals was the highest in 22 years. You know, oh no, we don't have an original 6. Oh, this is going to be terrible. Oh, highest ratings in 20 years. So, yeah,
it just proves that like it's the Stanley Cup Finals. You're gonna watch.
I watched 3 of the 5 games, and it didn't have the stars in them at all. And I watched all 3 games all the way through, even game 5 when it was 9-3.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Ardell on his comment as well that I wanted to hate Tkachuk. I really did want to hate Tkachuk. but he was so good. He was so good, and the whole running off the ice because of the overtimes, then doing it the second time, that was just so fun.
That was awesome.
Yeah, that was fun. Now, I'm not saying that I like a lot of the stuff that he did, like some of the petty Ben-esque like stuff, but
we only like it if it's on our team.
Wait.
Only like it if it's on our team.
What?
It's stuff that Ben would do.
Stuff Ben would do.
You don't like that?
Only when it's on our team.
What are you saying, Ryan?
I'm saying Ben knows where the line is. Matthew Tkachuk doesn't know where that line is right now.
Well, obviously Ben didn't.
You're saying he went beyond what Ben would do.
Yes.
Okay.
Ben-esque.
All right.
Ben is the OG retaliator. What's the word I'm thinking of?
Enforcer.
Dang it. No, not enforcer. Antagonizer? No. Kind of like that.
Nah.
I can't think of that word right now.
Yeah, we had a little ball of hate way back in the day. That's not quite the same.
Yeah. Okay, and then let me mention one more player, and then we'll end the conversation about the players. And I got one more question about the Knights, and then we'll move on to star stuff. But the one last player I do want to mention, there's so many other players you can mention, but Jonathan Marchessault, I thought it was a cool story because he scored 30 goals with the Florida Panthers the season before he got selected by Vegas to come to Vegas in the expansion draft, right? So not only did they get Jonathan Marchessault, they also got former Dallas Stars draft pick Riley Smith. And I just thought it was ironic that he's undrafted. He scored 30 goals. The Florida Panthers, who is the team he's playing against, let him go. And then he's the Conn Smythe winner. And I think he even has the franchise point record right now as a Vegas Golden Knight. He has the most points in Vegas Golden Knights history, which again, I know is only 6 years, but still, that's 6 years. That's nothing to kind of not bat your eyes at. So I thought it was a cool story. I was really happy for him, and it was just cool to see him get to be awarded the Conn Smythe as an original 6 member of the Golden Knights that was left. So
that may be the only reason why he got it.
That I really think that's probably why he got it, because
I think Eichel should have gotten it.
Yeah, see, I thought Eichel probably should have gotten it, but I think a lot of people went with their emotions and realized he's the original Golden Six. He lost in 2018 to the Caps, and now he's the winner. And
he got it because he had 25 points and 13 goals, which was tied for the most in the playoffs.
Well, 13 goals in 15 games nonetheless. So he didn't even start scoring until halfway through the playoffs.
Yeah. And that's why he got it, but whatever.
Yeah, it is what it is. Okay, one last question about Vegas, and then we'll move on. So I remember in past episodes that we've talked about Vegas and how relentless they are about just moving players, right? We talked about how dare they move Marc-Andre Fleury.
That's going to be a lot harder for them this year.
Yeah. Like, how dare they move Marc-Andre Fleury for nothing? And how dare they just give up Max Pacioretty for nothing? They literally gave nothing.
They had to give him away.
But they were willing to make those moves, and everybody was
and
like,
they
"Where's
still
the loyalty?"
cheated. And they still cheated, and we're over the cap by like 10 million.
But I mean, like, this is a copycat league, right? The NHL is a copycat league. Are there going to be more teams now that are going to look at that Vegas model and say, well, they were relentless with their team and they won the Stanley Cup? So are we going to see teams move from players that, maybe in the past
they would be so much fun. I want to see that. That would be awesome. But also it's sad because you don't get to have those players where you're like, this is why I like this team. I mean, why we like the Dallas Stars so much is because Jamie Benn has been on it since the beginning, and he's just annoying and pesters everyone.
I hope not. I mean, you need. I think that's going to be based on the personalities of the owner and the GM, and you're not going to see Jim Nill doing anything like that.
Oh, absolutely not. No, I'm not saying Jim Nill would do that.
Right. So
other teams.
You're right that there's likely to be some more doing that, but I think it's so dependent. I don't want to see that. Our team has been built around ideas and loyalty, and if you look at some of the contracts that have been signed, they've been signed for less than they probably should have been, because people want to play for the team and they believe in the team. That's the right way to do it. And just because if one group wins with a different model, I don't go chasing that. I mean, there will be some that do probably, but I'm not.
I kind of want it to happen because it would be maximum chaos and it'd be fun, but it's not going to happen just because Vegas is Vegas. I mean, it's like they encompass like how the whole city works. They just they're always all in. Every single time, they're all in.
That's the quote of the night, James.
But that's how I think about it. Really, when I think about the Vegas Golden Knights, I think that they're doing it every single year, all the time. We'll see how it shakes out this year, since they won the cup and they're like, who do you sign? Who do you let go? Who do you trade for?
I was laughing at Brian's comment. Let's not turn the NHL into the NBA.
That's true. I don't want to see that. I cannot stand the NBA right now. And like I know that they're making so much money now and everything, but it's just like for real. It's not fun to
There's
watch anymore.
part of the reason your question is interesting is because it asks, what do you do with the human side, right? We're playing a game where we're talking big money and we're talking high dollars and life-changing things, but in the end those don't matter to me if you don't have some care for the people that you're working with. And that's what the Stars have built, and I think you've seen other teams do that. You've seen other teams not do that and are dumpster fires, as we've talked about. and that culture that you build as an owner and a GM is what makes your team a place where someone wants to come, and that in the end gives you the opportunity to get the good players who want to come win the cup. So
and that's what
I'm
I
on
think
that
about.
boat.
Yeah, that's what I think kind of about when you think about, you're talking about Calgary and Edmonton together and everyone wanting to leave Calgary. There's something else going on there because not everyone wants to leave Edmonton. Like, I understand Edmonton is a more established team in the league. They have more history, whatever. There's no way that it matters that much more to players to play for the Edmonton Oilers than the Calgary Flames.
And everybody wants out of Winnipeg for different reasons too. But that's for a whole nother podcast
Winnipeg,
episode.
okay, Winnipeg doesn't count.
And I know people are going to make fun of me for this, but I feel bad for Rick Bowness as well. He is in a bad situation up there. Okay, anyways, we got to move on before we open.
He knew what he was getting into.
He did. He absolutely did. But it doesn't mean I can't feel bad for him. Okay, let's move on. Let's move on. Okay, so let's get to the real Dallas Stars kind of nutshell of all of this. Once now that we've kind of put a bow tie on the season, and again, we'll start with this Twitter post. What's the biggest thing we need to fix this offseason? Everyone said pretty much defense, right? So I'm going to go back to the exit interviews, and I watched the entire 37-minute Jim Nill media availability exit interview, which was like about a week after the players' exit interviews. And Saad kind of set him up for it, and I think Jim Nill knew exactly which player he was talking about, Ryan Suter. And he specifically asked, and just straightforward, are you looking at any buyouts? And Jim Nill right there flatly said, no, we're not looking at any buyouts, period. So we need to kind of discuss
period
this because
or right now?
I guess right now would be the better way to put that, is right now. But the thing is Jim Nill made some good arguments. And he went through a bunch of the stats. He said, we're like top 10 in almost every single statistical category, including on the defensive side. So I don't necessarily think that there's something wrong with the defense. That's kind of what he was inferring. He didn't say those words himself, but a lot of people are out there saying that Ryan Suter needs to be bought out. One, because we have a defense that is too loaded with too many players, and he's just making too many mistakes. And we need the cap space to be able to sign, like James really wants to, Max Domi. So I'm just going to come out and straight say it. Is buying out Suter really the answer for the Dallas Stars? And what aspects? Is it because we need to save cap space? Is it because he is the problem on defense, and once we get rid of him, all of our problems will be fixed?
They will only be worse.
What's the aspects of this?
Your problems on defense are only going to get worse if you buy out Ryan Suter, because that money's not going to go back into defense. Like I said, likely if we are looking to buy out Suter at all during this time, it's because we want to sign Max Domi. I mean, that's the only reason why I can see us buying him out. It doesn't make sense otherwise, unless you want to go get another defenseman for $3.6 million, which is not going to be any better than Ryan Suter. I'll tell you that now. But the biggest thing for me is that we have a lot of players, or at least 2 or 3 defensive players starting to come into this roster now. I mean, we saw Harley come in finally and actually be like a difference maker. He played the entire playoffs, played amazing. I think he's going to play every single game next season unless he gets hurt. I mean, that's what you're looking at. And you're looking at Lundqvist. I mean, he had kind of a rough season because he's in and out, but it's like Pete DeBoer said in his exit interview, this is a normal thing for a rookie defenseman to go through. They go through this all the time. The dude's 22 now? 21, 22? I don't remember which one, but we have players who are really good who could just fill those roles without us having to buy anyone out.
It's a question on Lundqvist. When he got in that situation at his prior team, he got an attitude and wanted out. Is he going to do the same thing, or is he in a good enough situation where he believes in the team and the situation that he'll not develop that kind of
here's kind of the big difference for me in it on the Rangers. He came up the first fourth of the season. They instantly sent him down to the AHL. He played the rest of the season in the AHL. On the Dallas Stars, he played 60 games for us. He played 60 games. That is well over half. And we were I think us putting him back in over and over again and pulling him out is showing him like, hey, you have to get better in these areas. And like, yes, we're going to give you playing time. He still playing 60 games this season was still more than he played last season with the NHL and AHL games combined. So he still played more games this season than he did total last season. So I really
you don't think it was enough to cause him to have a problem. You think he's still in?
Okay. I sure hope not. I mean, it's got to be kind of tough to get picked for Hanley to be picked over him. But if the coaching staff is doing it the right way and being like, hey, we need you to get better in this specific area before we can put you back in, then I don't think it's going to be a problem. And I think he's going to be really, really good next year too still.
I think so too. It was just it was a thought process I was going through, comparing back to before, and like, hey, we just didn't play you in the playoffs, and it was kind of like, I wonder if that might trigger him or something. I don't know. Just an interesting thought.
So the reason why I even asked this question is because yes, because of the Twitter post, but there was also a really good article by Sean Shapiro, which, by the way, I'm so glad that he's writing about Dallas Stars hockey again. I know the circumstances of him getting released by the Athletic and everything wasn't exactly ideal, but I am happy that he is writing for Stars hockey again. But anyways, he had a really good article on D Magazine, and it was all about this issue. The Stars need to buy out Ryan Suter, and not for the reasons you think. And one of the arguments he actually makes is that he thinks that Suter, the ideal thing for Suter right now would be to kill penalties, be on the third pair, and play 16 minutes a night. But he doesn't think that the Stars have it in them to limit those minutes when you get to that point because of the player that he is. And it's DeBoer part of it. But he also thinks that he kind of compared this to this is where my mind is going. Miro really got better on the offensive side of the puck when who left? Klingberg. Klingberg had to leave, and that had to be a casualty for Miro to really be considered one of the elite defensemen of the NHL. He was already really good, and everybody already knew how good he was on the defensive side. But he really shone this year because he was given the power play 1 responsibilities. And his argument here was Suter still being there, that's going to keep Harley down from being the number 2 defenseman on this team. Now, my question is if you get rid of Ryan Suter, you don't have somebody else as a security blanket to rely upon if Harley is not ready to take those number 2 minute roles. You kind of have Esa Lindell, which he might be able to do some power play duties, and he's shown it in the past that he's done it. He's mostly been a net front guy, but that would be my concern there. But I do agree with him that while Suter is here, Harley is not going to be fully entrusted to be that number 2 defenseman. Sorry, James, go ahead.
Yeah, but I don't think Harley's ready to be the number 2 defenseman yet. He hasn't even played a single
I think he has
season in the NHL. No, he hasn't played a single season in the NHL. He is technically still a rookie going into next season. He will be a rookie next season still. Like, yes, he played great, and he's going to get a ton of minutes. He might get bumped up to the second pairing with Hakanpää. I don't know. You might have Lindell on the third pairing. We'll see. But I mean, you're
not going to break up that Hakanpää Lindell. Yeah, well, that's not going to happen.
The problem is he's also a left-handed defenseman. So we still have this problem where we have all left-handed defensemen, none on the right, which is why Nils is going to play next season for a majority of it again. But he's not ready to play first pairing minutes yet. He's not. You can't just, especially if we're looking like we have to get rid of Suter to be able to do that anyway. That's the dumbest idea ever. Like you're going to get rid of someone who who can play 20 minutes at least a night for someone who played at most the highest he played in the 20 games that he played for us was 18. That's the highest he played.
Okay, but here's my argument to you. Here's my argument to you though, James, is that he can't do that on a regular basis. So
who? Ryan Suter can't play 20 minutes.
Ryan Suter can't. So I really think
you play 1A, 1B at that point. That's what I think. I think if you're looking, like you said, you don't really want to break up Lindell and Hakanpää. I think for the most part, that's right. I think what ends up happening is that if Suter's having a rough night, Harley's going to get more ice time. He'll be on the third pairing, but if Suter's having a hard night, he's going to get flopped up with Miro, and they're going to play 1A, 1B on that line.
Well, how long is that leash going to be for Suter? Because it seemed like this year it was too long.
It was. I don't necessarily agree with that, but it seemed like we could tell from night to night how good Suter was doing. I mean, the coaching staff was already limiting his minutes when they saw he was not doing good. We saw him play at some points in the season 22 minutes a night, and other points 16 minutes a night. I mean, he's very hit or miss, like you said, on every other night. But if the coaching staff is already doing that, and I think they are, then all you have to do is be able to say, okay, well, the only other person that we want to play with Miro is Harley. And that's your flip-flop. I mean, you just throw Suter on the third pairing for the night. Well, maybe not the night, but you swap them in and out. I feel like that's not too far out of reach, in my opinion.
So
yeah, I enjoyed the article because it was kind of it stretched your mind a little bit. Like, oh, well, that's kind of interesting. But in the end, I do think that Suter's valuable, and like you've been mentioning, that you're not going to get anybody better for the price tag. So that's probably managing your minutes is going to be a better way. It's just painful. To me, the playoffs, except for his big gaff, which lost us where we were for part of that series, but except for the big gaff, he played great in the playoffs. But he did not play good like that during the year. He did not. And as he got it in him to up his game and play good enough in the regular season to earn another shot at that in the postseason? Maybe. Hard to tell. Probably not on line one.
Okay, so we kind of talked about the answer. Let's talk about the realistic, what's going to happen. James, what do you think is going to happen? Are we going to see Ryan Suter? That's
nothing is going to happen. That's where I'm at. I'm at. We have Harley, we have Lundqvist, and maybe you might see Kyrou, depending on how people get hurt. He had a really good season in the juniors again. He had like 77 points in like 64 games or something like that, which was really good. but you'll only see Kyra if we get like massively hurt on the defensive side. But we have people who, specifically both Harley and Lundqvist, they both now have kind of dipped their toes into the water. You know, it's a normal thing for defensemen to do. It takes them a second longer just to get up to speed on the defensive side than forwards. It's a normal thing.
And then it takes goaltenders even longer.
Yeah. Seeing Lundqvist play 60 games for us in the regular season, and for most of it, he looked fine. It is reassuring to me, although we didn't send him the last little bit and not in the playoffs. That's the concerning part. But then you also have Harley, who we didn't see all season long, and suddenly he comes out of nowhere and is like our second best defenseman. So you have really, when everyone's talking about defense and fixing the defense, my mind goes to Colin Miller. Like, that dude played fine the entire regular season. We got into the playoffs and he was completely unusable. We couldn't play him at all.
That's a good point.
I really don't see anything happening either, James. I agree with you. And you want to be able, and you want to be able to use that cap space. And you convinced me fully, James. We need to get Max Domi. I mean, I really feel like he is a difference maker for us.
I've got a question for next episode.
Okay.
Because we're already at an hour.
We're already at an hour. We haven't even done the Who Cares segment yet.
We're already quite far along. The question is not a good one. So we had came from James' comment earlier. We had a really good year from an injury perspective. What is our likelihood of being able to sustain that level without injuries next year? Because that's going to be it always is a big part of who can make it to the final thing, right? Because so that's just something that flashed through my head. Not worth discussing tonight, probably, but it is something that I don't know if there is an answer, but
I'll answer it really quick. That's something that you deal with when you get there. I mean, you can kind of prepare for it, but most teams are not preparing for it.
I guess Vegas did it in goal. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if that happens to a team, it's kind of just, it's an unlucky season. Season's long
but
too. You can get hurt.
So
you
Vegas,
can get hurt at the beginning
Vegas
of the season and
it.
Get back.
Right, Vegas got through it.
We got through it 2 years ago. Our team was completely battered and bruised in the COVID shortened season. Yeah. That's why we missed the playoffs. Fair. That's the only year that we missed the playoffs in the last 5.
That's what's mentally in my head because of that. That was why. Yeah. So, okay. Good. Just something that crossed my mind.
Okay, we done? Yeah, we're done. Yeah. Okay, here we go. All right, it's our first Who Cares segment of the off season, and like we talked about last week, we actually had a week to prepare, even though we didn't spend the week to prepare.
What do you mean? I spent all week researching.
Oh, shut up, James. Okay, our top 3 favorite candles.
I didn't learn the question until 3 minutes before the podcast.
Well, you should.
Well,
I'm going to win to the podcast.
I'm going to win.
You should have listened to the podcast from last week, and you would have.
Yeah, Dad, do you not love us enough to listen to our podcast episodes? He obviously doesn't. My goodness.
I didn't drive into work last week. Sorry.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna do our top 3 favorite candles. There's no stipulations on this. We can go however direction we want to. So James, why don't you go first? I'll go second, and Dad can go third. All right, James, number 3.
For my number 3, I'm doing the Hanukkah candles with the Hanukkah candle stick thing. I don't know how to. I forgot the name of it. What's the name of it? I see. This is where my research failed me. I couldn't find the name. But yeah, that's my number 3. All the candles with the candlelight stick for Hanukkah. Yeah, those. It's like what, 5 candles? That's my number 3. 7? There's 7.
It can only get better from here.
How insensitive can we be on our very first? Who cares? Answer.
It was.
Come on,
I was
James.
supposed to be helping. Okay, it's Hanukkah.
Menorah. There you go.
I like how it looks. It looks cool. It was a
So
compliment.
you were being inclusive. You were being inclusive.
Yeah,
You
I was
just
being inclusive.
couldn't.
I couldn't remember the name of it.
This already has started so bad. We're
You're
only
welcome.
going to get better as the off season goes along, guys. Okay,
That's
right.
what people like about it, right? So
I hope so. We'll see. Mine are so basic now. Mine seems really stupid. Okay, my number
these are
three
really
is
good ones.
yeah. Amanda has kind of got me on this one, but my number 3 is just flat out plain vanilla from the Bath and Body Works.
Oh,
I know
you're
it's
really
lame.
boring.
vanilla.
I know it's lame. I like the vanilla smell. I don't know why. It's really
coconut,
good.
Either one.
So
Fair.
that's my number 3. I have no
good number
argument
3.
for it.
It's a good number 3. I like number 3.
Yeah.
That's good.
All
All right.
Dad,
It's my turn.
number 3.
All right. So my number 3 is Mom's centerpieces at Casey's wedding.
Oh,
right?
you
So they
suck
had
up.
this.
We
There's
don't
no
have
rules,
a picture
right?
of them.
There's no rules.
Darn
I
it.
should have had it. I should have had a picture. But it was a little tall square with a nice pretty greenery on top, and underneath there were 3 candles: one tall one, one medium one, and one little bitty one. And the tall ones had floating candles. They're floating in water.
Yeah, they were
inside the
in water
vase.
and it looked like they were floating. It was cool.
Pretty
Super
cool.
fancy.
Pretty cool. And that's number 3.
Although I wasn't really
I'm gonna
paying
win.
attention to them, honestly.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
win.
I guess if you were really sucking up, Dad, you would have made those number 1. Okay, so I take
So-
back
Okay.
some. I take back some of my
So-
stuff and put it back.
So
in my
my number
James, number
second is a very basic one. I like the watermelon scented candles. Doesn't really matter which one it is. I don't know why they smell so good.
There's
I
one
walked by
burning
one
right
the
over
other.
there. Mom's got
I
it.
know. That's the specific one that I'm talking
That's the
about
one
too.
you're thinking
But
about.
she
What
had
brand
it
is
just
it?
lit in the kitchen one day, and I walked by it and I stopped and I just stood right above it for like 3 minutes just smelling it
That is
until my
way
nose
too
finally went
specific.
blind to the smell.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, Dad's even got it. What is that? I can't read it.
I can't get it right.
Hold on, let
Yankee
me see if I can
candle.
pull it up.
Yankee candle.
Oh, it's a Yankee candle.
And it
Okay.
is.
It's so
And
good.
it is juicy watermelon.
It's so
Juicy
good.
watermelon.
Juicy watermelon.
Thank
All right,
you.
well, that's
Thank
a good
you.
one. Okay, that's a lot better than your third one, James. You've
My
redeemed
first
yourself.
one's gonna be even better.
Oh gosh. Well, your number 3 sucked. So,
What do you mean? You hate
Ryan, you're
Jewish
so
people?
racist.
Oh goodness. Okay. My number 3 or my number second. My goodness, I'm tired. It's kind of a weird one, and you're gonna make fun of me for it, James especially. And if Chris was here, he would really make fun of me for it. But there is a specific candle that a kid gave me many years ago. I think it's like my second or third year teaching. It was like a teacher gift. And get this, it was, I don't remember what brand it was, but it was Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Cinnamon
that's pretty
Toast
cool,
Crunch
actually.
scented. So
No,
I thought that was
has
really
to smell
cool.
good.
And it smelled amazing. I kept that in my office.
Did you taste it?
Absolutely not. No.
Why
Don't
not?
eat those.
It's just wax.
Why am I the only sane one right now out of the 3
You're
of us?
not
Oh my
sane,
goodness.
Ryan. You just think that you are.
I'm the only one not eating candle wax. I didn't think I
didn't
would have to
say
say
I
that.
That means
candle
you're
wax.
the weird one,
just
Ryan.
said-
If everyone else is doing
just
it,
said,
you are the
"Did
weird
you?"
one.
Oh,
I just figured you would if it smelled that good. You know.
Dad, you're number 2. I'm done.
All right. Now I'm going with James. All right. So this I didn't even realize his one says Yankee Candle on it, right? Yankee Candle, right? That's my number 2, and here's why. Because in Owl City's song called Bah Humbug, he goes around and he says all these things that he's trying to find a gift for someone for Christmas, and and he just can't find the right gift. Bah humbug. And in the end, he's like, "How about I just jump out the window?" And that's kind of like the Christmas theme song, right? And in the background, you hear, "I'm sorry for all the Yankee candles," in the background. For Yankee Candle #2, Owl City.
Okay, that's a good
Boom.
argument.
Ryan
Okay,
laughed
James,
because he's already seen my number one.
Oh my gosh,
and
there
it's
we go.
hilarious.
There we go. Let's bring it
my
up.
number one are the Jesus joke candles. So instead of putting Jesus or Mary on the candle of the picture, you've seen those. They put like Keanu Reeves and Danny DeVito and Joe Rogan. So these are by far the best candles. They're absolutely hilarious.
And if you're listening on the podcast site, it's a lot more funny because he's got like 30 different versions of it. He's pulled it up on the screen. I was like, oh my goodness.
Oh man, they're the best though. So
at first I legit thought it was like the incense candles. Like then I looked closer and I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe this.
They're so good though. They're so fun. Perfect joke gifts.
Oh man. Okay. I think James wins. Mine's
good.
not as good. Mine's not as good. My number one, it's lame compared to that. My number one is any kind of coffee scented candles. I love.
Oh, see, I saw that in the comments over there too.
Yeah. Oh, you did? Who said it?
Yeah. Somebody was in the comments over there going coffee. Yeah. I saw that.
Joe Barker.
Yeah.
Joe Barker. Yes. Barker. Baker. I love you, Joe. You're my number one fan. I love you. Okay.
Coffee scented candles.
And I mean, it's like, Dad, you don't like drinking coffee, but you like the smell of coffee.
I love the smell. So,
right, exactly.
That's a fine answer. That's a fine answer to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it's better. I mean, I think you're still a loser.
I agree.
But
just because it was funny. But I love coffee scented candles, and now my coffee pot's actually right over here. So I'm gonna have to make some in the morning because I'm gonna want some. But that's my number one, my number first. Dad, finish us off with a good one, please.
I can't beat James number one, but
I almost made y'all go first.
As long as you beat mine. As long as you beat mine.
I think on a whole, I still may take James out because of his second and third. But
his third one especially was terrible.
No, that was the best.
So let's go back to birthday parties. And I don't remember if it's one of you guys. If it's one of you guys, then I win for sure. But if you ever remember, and you get your birthday cake and there's all these candles on it, and your mom goes and lights them, right? And you light them, and for some reason these candles are like they're like
trick candles.
They're like sparkling. Oh yeah, they're like sparkling, extra sparkly for some reason, and you're like, oh, those are cool candles, Mom. And they like blow out the candle, and then they blow out, and then they all light back up again. All right, see, number one candle.
Okay, that's better than mine. And
no, I won.
I won. I think, overall. I didn't win number one.
That was my
number one's the most important.
Yeah, it is the most important. Although James, your number 3 sucked, so I don't know. Maybe
you just don't like Jewish people, do you?
I'm gonna get so much hate on Twitter now from Jewish people. No, but it was my 25th birthday, Dad. That cake was the trick candles.
See, I thought there. So it was you even. So it was even.
I think it was Mom that got
him.
I think it was Mom that got him. Even that was like 4 years
ago. We got
ago.
Those by accident.
No, we didn't. I think Mom got him on purpose.
That's fine.
What? Oh no, that
she's
was
right
on
there.
Purpose.
Can you ask her? Is she right there?
I don't know if she's listening. Hey, were the trick candles for Ryan on purpose, or was it an accident?
What?
Were the trick candles for Ryan on purpose, or was it an accident? You remember? What year?
Oh my gosh! So there was more than one. That's not good. Okay, well, as I'm obviously the biggest loser, so I guess I get to choose. I think James still wins, though, Dad.
Oh, man,
I think
you can spend hours just looking at these candles. It's hilarious.
It's so
number
funny.
One was cool.
There's one with Dwight Schrute on it.
That one alone would be amazing.
There's some great ones. Okay.
Oh, now I'm gonna have to go buy some random candles just because you did that. Okay. All right. Dad, you get second. I get third. Man, I'm so bad at these things.
You are bad at these.
Hey, but in our THPN network thing, we did the bracket challenge. I got first place. I got 86 points on our bracket challenge. So I got a $50 gift card. I was happy. Yeah.
Oh,
You got money?
cool.
Yeah, I got money for winning.
Can I have some?
No, because you won this segment here. So that's
I also came up with the segment though.
You still win.
Seems rigged.
You got bragging
Wait a
rights until
minute.
next week.
Wait a minute. That's right. Hey, I don't think I like this anymore.
Yeah.
Come up with the ideas and then you can win them.
And then have your brother vote for you. I mean, come
Exactly.
on.
Exactly. Now y'all understand. Y'all understand how me and Chris always win now.
Yeah, it's because they always
Ryan
rig it
never
against me.
wins.
It's not fair.
I've got
Okay.
a send-off picture if you can,
Yep.
if you see it.
So yeah, we say I was gonna mention it, and this is a picture from Casey's wedding, and she looks like an absolute princess in the thing. She looks beautiful. She did a first look with all of her brothers.
Oh, I have that too.
And I could not keep it in. To be honest, I cried, and I'm
Take
getting
it off
teary-eyed
for a
thinking
minute,
about it
Ryan.
right
I'll
now.
find the other one.
Sorry.
Take
It's
this
okay,
one
Ryan.
off, and I'll go find the other one real quick.
Oh, okay. Oh, the first look one.
Casey just
Yeah.
looked like the princess that she always has. I mean, it was no different. She's wearing the tiara and everything.
See,
There he
that's
is.
the one. Yeah, there I am, and they're over there in the corner, just like on the far left, just like I can't keep it in. Me and Travis, the oldest and the youngest, were the ones
Yeah.
that couldn't keep it in. So it is what it is. But oh man, that was
It was a
so
good
much
weekend.
fun. Oh, and shout out to Chris, by the way, who was there.
Oh yeah.
Oh my
And-
word, dude.
Yeah, he flew in
Well,
Friday and then flew
I-
out Saturday. So
I
like,
think I might have died if I did that.
yeah.
it's
so-
like a 17-hour
with a
flight, yeah.
4-hour train ride.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
He was
He
up
didn't
for
sleep
over
for-
24 hours on
Yeah,
the way
he
in.
didn't. It was
Oh
ridiculous.
yeah, and when the wedding started, it started at 7:00 Central Time here in the States, and in Germany, which is the time zone he was used to, it was like 2 a.m. So it felt like he was doing a wedding
was-
at 2 a.m.
It was rough, man.
So seriously, kudos
and then he
to
left the
Chris.
next day at 4. So
That's insane.
he got
He
there
was,
at like
he
6.
was in town for
and
less than
Yeah.
24 hours.
That's amazing.
Basically just over 12 hours.
I know we didn't do
It
a
was
biggest
fun.
winner, biggest loser, but biggest loser me, biggest winner Chris for this past week for what he did. So, okay, anything else? I think that's it.
It's
We
fun.
went 15 minutes over an hour.
Yeah, nice.
How dare we?
Go and check out sarcasticremarks.com. There's going to be more content coming your way, especially written content this year. I'm going to try to get it going more often this year, and I'm really excited to start that up. Go and check out sarcasticremarksshop.com for all the latest merch option from us. It's the best way to support our podcast and what we do. And the best thing you can even do, leave us a 5-star review anywhere you listen to your podcast. It's the best way for us to grow. We have grown tremendously over the past 3 years. Thank you guys for that. There have been 10 of you listening live. There's more of you listening later. So thank you. We seriously appreciate it. And I never thought there would be people that would care about 3 Texas boys about their favorite hockey team of all things. So
And candles.
and candles.
Don't forget the candles.
Don't forget the candles. So, along with the patriarch, our padre, David, and James, my name is Ryan. We will catch you guys on the flip side, and we hope you guys have a good, fantastic morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you guys are listening, and we'll be back with you guys again next week with more Stars content to get you through the depression season. We will see you guys in 7 days.